Today's release, BRICS Summit 2023, What Will France Lose? Recall that South Africa will host the BRICS Summit from August 22 to August 24. The leaders of the founding countries of the organization will take part in it: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The president of the Russian Federation will deliver the speech via video link, and the head of the foreign ministry will attend the event in person. Invitations were sent out to 69 countries of the global south, including the leader of 54 African countries. But Emmanuel Macron, a big fan of visiting lately, most likely did not wait for an invitation to the BRICS Summit. Recall that in June, the French newspaper L'Opinion reported that Emmanuel Macron, asked to participate in the BRICS Summit, but this time he will have to stay at home. It is worth noting that more than 20 states have already officially applied for membership in the association. The countries participating in the organization house more than 40% of the world's population. Additionally, the BRICS states contribute to more than 30% of the world's GDP. BRICS has big plans to become a real competitor of the Big Seven, and the organization has everything necessary. The bloc's leaders even set up a $100 billion contingency reserve to guard against global liquidity pressure. One of the main topics of the BRICS gatherings in August will be a discussion of creating a single currency. This week, during the Russian-African Summit, Russian President Putin met with the head of the new bank development of the BRICS countries, Dilma Rousseff. The meeting discussed the expansion of settlements and national currencies between countries' BRICS, liquidity problems, and the dollar's role as an instrument of financial struggle and pressure on other countries. Is it worth waiting for revolutionary change tomorrow? Will the BRICS countries be able to create a common currency and payment system in the future? Write your opinion in the comments. And we continue. The U.S. Federal Reserve raised interest rates to record highs. After a short break, the U.S. Federal Reserve resumed and raised the rate to 5.25 to 5%, the highest level in 22 years. Recall that the Fed tirelessly raised the base rate for 15 months, including 4 times in a row on 75 basis points. The Fed's monetary policy has become historical, with Reuters calling it an aggressive tightening. It is already the 11th rate hike since the beginning of last year. During a press conference, U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said they have yet to decide what to do at the next meeting, and the Fed will look at the incoming economic data. He also noted that the Fed will do it without undue doubt if an additional rate hike is required. It's not worth waiting for a rate cut this year. According to Powell, the economy will have to endure an unpleasant moment of growth retardation and deterioration in the labor market. All for the sake of the great goal: bring down inflation. However, he noted that the Fed is no longer waiting for the onset of a recession, and here is the big question: no matter how it happened, as with inflation, which seemed to come temporarily, but remained for a long time, let's hope the Fed has a clear plan this time around. In June, the growth rate of U.S. consumer prices was lower than expected. In annual terms, the index of consumer prices slowed to 3%. It has been the lowest since March 21, but is still far from the 2% target. Meanwhile, U.S. core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, remains high. Extending Saudi export restrictions and Chinese stimulus are pushing oil prices higher. According to Bloomberg, gasoline prices are a separate headache for the Fed, which is to blame for large refineries and low fuel reserves at major gasoline hubs. The next Fed rate meeting will take place on 19 to 20 September. With a probability of 77.2%, the market expects the regulator to keep the rate at the same level of 5.25 to 5%. However, this will depend on fuel and core inflation at the beginning of the heating season. In the coming months, recession risks will persist due to the Fed's rate hike. While the regulator will not go to its decline, it will slow down economic activity and investment in production. Since the U.S. is the leading producer in consumer goods and the dollar is currently the primary world currency, these processes can seriously affect the global economy. That's all. See you soon.